Oh boy, we're trying something new, Nick. We're trying something new, and that is, every time for Cyber News, we always pull what seems to be like too many stories.
Way too many
Like
stories.
we either talk about too much stuff at the beginning of the show, so we don't have enough time to talk about all the news, or like we prioritize the news, and sometimes we don't get to like everything that we think is like good, either for time reasons or for like whatever reason,
Yeah.
But now what we're gonna be doing is after we go offline, we're gonna take 5-10 minutes and just talk about the rest of the stories that we didn't get to. I feel like it'll be a good additional benefit for those of you who support us on Patreon and want to hear more of us just like talk about this shit, or I think we can do more. I think this is a very modest effort to try and do a little bit more.
Yeah, it should be pretty simple.
I think it should be simple, and that's how we should prioritize all of our stuff. What's the simplest thing to do? Which is both a joke and also kind of true.
Yeah.
Um,
What's on the docket, though? What did we
Troy.
not get to?
Baker, Gears 5.
Not Gears 5.
Take 2. This is edited, right? Troy, Baker, Borderlands 4.
3. Well, it's technically Borderlands 4.
Troy, Baker, new Borderlands, not in-game voice actor union, blah, blah, blah. I've heard a couple different sides of this story. So the headline has been reading, Troy Baker, not in Gears, Borderlands 4, because...
Borderlands 3. Borderlands 4 does not exist.
So the news headlines that I'm reading is that Troy Baker isn't in Borderlands 3 because some union issues, because they didn't want to pay union rates.
Yeah, one of the popular headlines I've seen is them quoting Troy Baker that they wouldn't go union. That's usually like the thing people lead with.
But I've also seen conflicting reports that there were unionized voice actors on the game.
Yeah, there are voice actors, guild members in the game. So this is actually something I didn't get a chance to go in on, but there is a lot of he said, she said. And I think the issue is that they didn't want to pay his rate, or that the guild, they didn't want to pay the guild rate, but the people who are in the guild didn't take it for the rate they normally would have gotten paid. I'm not, what's actually happening here, Joey?
The thing is that I was hoping that you would know a little bit more, because I've only got the he said, she said. I feel like this story hasn't been fully fleshed out. But it also looks like not a great look for Troy right now if he's being a little disingenuous. Or the media if they're covering it poorly. Games media, who would have thought. Or Gearbox if they're just being selective with their budget or selective with their creative process. I don't know who to focus my ire on right now, which is messy, because normally, we get a story like this, or just in general, not even us, just, we see a headline, we read a little blurb of a story, we see a tweet, and we're like, this person's bad, this person's good. I think we're still in the middle of figuring that out right now with what's really going on with Borderlands. I know that there are a lot of fans who are like upset he's not in the game. I know there's fans who are happy that he's not in the game because, like, he's in every game.
Yeah, but I mean, he was also like one of the main characters in Tales from the Borderlands. The reason why his character even exists at all, and it's also the best written Borderlands game. So like, his character that he lent his voice to has probably some of the heaviest weight behind it than most of the characters in the Borderlands series, which is interesting. So people were pretty upset that that Reese isn't being voiced by Troy Baker. But
did they just hire a different guy to voice it?
Yeah, they did.
See, now I feel like there's a missed creative opportunity here. You know how sometimes when when a character doesn't come back to a show because of contract reasons, you just like kill him off?
Uh-huh.
Why didn't they do that here? But instead of maybe kill him off, what if they just like completely like mutilated his throat? Like there's a scene where like this guy just gets like comically stabbed in the throat and then has a robot voice,
which is
like he's a cyborg,
which is weird because that's something that Borderlands would have done. There's lots of weird like in-game things that they do that really mirror things that a lot of games, it's like commentary on a lot of games. So I'm surprised that they didn't do that, but it probably would have drawn even more ire from fans because he is such a beloved character. But that said, though, like this is just
Own it, right? I think.
maybe, but I don't know. I don't know that they can afford it at this point because the only thing I've really seen with Borderlands 3 in recent, like the recent weeks following its release, is just a lot of bad press for like a lot of things leading up to the release of Borderlands 3, and then after the fact with all of the Randy Pitchford CEO having it out with his ex coworker slash friend who like subpoenaed him in court. They've now settled, and there's like all this weird stuff happening.
Subpoenaed.
Whatever.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I just don't want you to say that word wrong in your head for the rest of your life.
He got subpoenaed in court, and they finally like sorted it all out. But there's also the issue of like couch co-op in the game not functioning the way it has in previous Borderlands game, at least not functioning but performing the way it has in the past, and just a few other things that have not been a good look for Gearbox. So this is just another. Oh, and also like the game opens with Chris Hardwick, like just being Chris Hardwick, which is still an interesting choice that they chose to hire him again.
Yeah, he's kind of laying low for a reason, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna probably squirm his way back because.
Oh, he already has. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, it's not great.
I did genuinely used to like him, and now I have very complicated feelings.
That's okay. That is totally allowed. You are allowed to have complicated feelings about an individual who betrayed a lot of people's trust.
Yes, he betrayed my trust. Respect women, everybody. Respect everybody, everybody. There we go. That's a message we can get along with, right?
Yeah, why not all people, Joey? Why can't we respect all people? Why does it have to be specifically? No, I'm just kidding. No.
I went into like a funny men's rights
Oh no.
bit at work the other day with Rob,
Oh,
and the new editors didn't understand that we were doing a
I
bit.
thought you were gonna do it at IGN, and I was like, oh my god, Joey, no.
Oh, do you Stella?
I've never worked with her.
I took her a minute to catch up to the fact that a lot of the stuff I say I might not mean, or like is tongue in cheek when we're like trying to write jokes. She's like, "Oh, you can't." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna make a Challenger joke," but like it made everyone else laugh when we were talking about things to write. So like and I'm sorry, I don't really, respect our astronauts, I guess. Kaboom. Challenger's funny. That's a weird take. Anywho, let me get off that as quickly as possible. Let me rocket off into a new topic.
I don't know that people. I don't know that she's old enough to actually know what the Challenger was. I don't think she was alive when it exploded. Or she was maybe a baby. No, she's much younger than us, I thought.
But we also weren't alive.
No, I know, but it was more immediate in what we would have learned about in recent years.
I feel like everyone learns about the space shuttle
Really?
in elementary school, yeah. PlayStation now subscription.
Mm-hmm.
$10 a month now.
Yeah, you can play it on PC.
GTA 5, God of War.
You can play PlayStation exclusive games on your PC, or at least some of them, which is pretty cool.
Is that the cool point about that? I thought that the price point's the cool point.
The price point's great, but it also gives people who don't have a PlayStation 4 the opportunity to play some of the greatest games that they have not had the chance to play yet.
This means that, but new games aren't going to come out to this service, right?
At least not right now, but again, you had to wait, what, a year to play God of War?
A little more than that.
A little more than a year? It's not too bad.
I mean, if it ever got to a point where they were released on PlayStation Now from the beginning, fucking game over, right?
Yeah, but that's also one of the things, like, why would Sony ever do that?
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm still going to have to buy a PlayStation 5 to play PlayStation 5 games immediately, even though if I was patient, I could wait.
But that said, though, like PlayStation, it's not out of question for something like that to happen because Microsoft kind of has that right now with Games Pass Ultimate. Like Xbox Live Ultimate, or no, Games Pass Ultimate, where if you have a subscription to Xbox Live Ultimate, like I have a subscription of that right now, I could play Gears of War 5 or Gears 5 on my Xbox One, and then I could just, hey, I feel like playing on PC right now, have my save transfer over to my PC, continue playing the game on my PC. I have them both day and date just at the launch. Like Xbox exclusive brand new game. So like, why isn't Sony doing this?
I'm into it.
Yeah, it's
Why
only
is
smart.
Sony keeping their subscription to 2 different subscription services instead of just having one like Xbox?
Well, right now I think that I'm trying. I admittedly enjoy a lot of PlayStation games, but that's because PlayStation actually has exclusives that I care about, unlike Microsoft.
There's a reason why I own a PS4 and I don't own an Xbox One.
So I think right now Microsoft is playing the get on consumers' good side card, where they are trying to get all the goodwill they can and really beef up their next console release with whatever Scarlet ends up being. But right now, Sony's leverage is their first party exclusives that frankly just blow Microsoft out of the water. Sure, like I love Halo 2 like the next guy. I love Gears, but like that's really it. Like, okay, sure.
I'm giving a thumbs down.
Okay, Joey, if Microsoft announced tomorrow, guys, Banjo-Kazooie 3 is coming out.
I would play it on my PC with an Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah. But that'd be like the only thing that would say they didn't have it on Games Pass. How would you play that game? Outside, like if I didn't have an Xbox here. How would you play
I would
that
find
game?
someone who had one.
Yeah, but you would find a way to make it happen.
Yes.
That-
Just like the way that I found a way to make God of War happen.
So Sony has that very same thing, but with, I would argue, games that are far more beloved than the Banjo franchise.
Oh, yeah. Sony just has good games. That's why that they're Sony has good games. I don't think Sony is like making an entertainment system like Microsoft is. I don't think Sony has the interconnectivity to Windows PCs that Microsoft has.
But they
Sony
want it.
just makes better games, and that's why if you told me I can only ever have a PS5 or a Scarlet, I would take the PS5 blindly right now.
Yeah, but right now we're seeing that bridge being that gap being bridged right now with PlayStation Now, because it's basically just a PlayStation emulator on your PC. There is a little bit of latency, so there's no latency. I'm sorry, it is network dependent, so it is basically like a Netflix style. You kind of stream the game, but like as long as you have decent internet, you should be fine. So like that's pretty dang cool, and I think more and more that's making less sense for Sony to do, and I think that we're going to see a Games Pass style service come to PlayStation outside of PlayStation Plus, because like one thing that Sony had on their side for the longest time up and through the PS2 generation was the like almost exclusive rights to Japanese studios. Like not exclusive, but you could really only play like Final Fantasy games on Sony hardware. And that's a huge deal in Japan, especially. That's a market share that Microsoft desperately is trying to break into, but they've just not been able to crack it. And even if they get the creator of Final Fantasy to make a game for the Xbox 360, like they just still can't do it. They still can't get people to care. So right now, I think Microsoft is making the bid for just Western audiences with just how consumer friendly they are. So I'm wondering if we're going to see a shift back.
But nothing is as consumer friendly as a Switch.
Well, no, that's not true at all, because the Switch, have you used the eShop? That eShop is god awful.
Does it
Who designed
do you have
that?
to load it twice every time you
Yes.
do it?
Yes, I do.
Is that not just a bug for me?
It just recently started happening to me. But like even the interface on the eShop, like it's just not easy to navigate.
You know how hard it is to find your wish list?
It's terrible. Like, come on. Like if there's
I don't
something,
have the money to hire a UI designer.
it just looks like something, it's just outdated, which is again indicative of Nintendo's entire online strategy at this point. But still, like, come on, make it easy for people to give you money. That's like priority one, right?
Well, you know what people are giving a lot of money for right now?
What are they giving a lot of money for?
Motherfucking goddamn Untitled Goose Game.
I saw this. I almost picked it up over my trip just because I knew it would be a short and sweet experience that I'd probably like, but I haven't yet.
If we were savvy, if we were like, maybe we should do a podcast on Untitled Goose Game, we might get more hits on the algorithm. Like, I almost don't want to like this game because it's so mainstream, and that is me being a shitty hipster, for lack of a better word.
I mean, it's fine. It's made by an indie studio, so I'm happy that their success has reached this height. The game's doing very well. I believe it's #1 on the
Yes,
eShop.
it beat Link's Awakening.
Yeah, it dethroned Link's Awakening within a week. So like, wow, well done.
Very popular. A
They
lot of media
dethroned
around it.
a Zelda game. Like, good
There's
job.
a lot of media around it, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of people are really into it. It's definitely caught the zeitgeist. They're saying now it's going to come to PS4, Xbox One, and maybe mobile.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised it hasn't come. Is it on PC?
Yeah, it's PC and Switch.
Oh, okay, perfect. So yeah, that's everything. There's no reason a game. I believe isn't it made in Unity?
Yeah, there's no reason why it couldn't be.
Yeah,
And, like they have this money now, they can just hire people to do that and then make more money. I'm sure that those employees that it'll cost to port the game will more than pay for itself in sales.
Oh, absolutely.
So, like, I'm happy for them. At the same time, I'm like,
I'm excited for their success, and I'm excited to see what they do with this success. Hopefully, it's not just a one-trick pony, and I hope we do see something just as new and exciting out of them moving forward. Like, because like the game's being like memed to death at this point, where they're just taking the goose and putting it in other games. So yeah, good for them. I'm happy they've reached.
I mean, their first game even was remotely
Success.
popular. You know, Push Me Pull You.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they made that. Yeah, that game's that game was pretty popular as well. Yeah,
No, so
but definitely not.
nothing is like when we look back on 2019 and we look at games that really caught the cultural attention, it's gonna be Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, it caught the attention of everyone at E3. Like, this was a thing that people wanted since E3. As soon as it was revealed, they're like, this is exactly what we want. Like, it was called Untitled Goose Game as a placeholder, and they just kept the name
I know. Yeah, that's
Like-
funny.
because it's a good name. It's a very good name. So, yeah, I'm glad that they had the cultural awareness to actually give people what they want, but also make a thing that is just like them. And I'm very curious to see if it's like Hitman, because I've been seeing a lot of Hitman comparisons.
I guess you're gonna play it, aren't you?
Eventually.
Eventually.
It's not a priority, though.
What's a priority right now?
Ugh, I don't even. Probably Dragon Quest. Or Slay the Spire. I've been obsessed with Slay the
You're
Spire.
probably gonna play like fucking 80 hours to Slay the Spire, aren't you?
It's really fun.
Yeah, I know it's a good game.
It's very good.
We're eventually gonna do a garbage game club on that. I don't think it's gonna be immediately.
No, that's a long game to dig into.
I mean, but it's roguelike, so you could, in theory, just like you could play Slay the Spire for like 5 or 6 hours, and then have that be more than enough to do a show.
But I don't think that'd be. I feel like you would be doing the game a disservice by
you
only
don't
putting.
have to like play
5.
through every class to.
I think you should try a quick glimpse of everything the game has to offer. I think that's important. You gotta, because like if the only play style difference, like if the only hook that makes the game different is the different play styles, like you should probably just play all the different characters at least. At least there's only 4. Actually, they're gonna add
They're adding one.
they're adding a 4th.
We'll talk about this later.
Yes.
On a show dedicated to it. Almost certainly. I'm almost certain that'll happen sometime in the future, near or semi near. It'll almost certainly happen. Final thing, something that I wanted to talk about. Discord has, for the first time, laid off staff.
Yeah, it's something that it happened like last week,
I believe so. It happened last week.
last weekend, I think.
Yeah, and a couple days ago is when the story got much bigger. So Discord, as a service, started as, a replacement for Skype or Ventrilo or TeamSpeak or Slack in the gaming world, because none of those services, those services are either old or bad. There's a lot of reasons why it wasn't great. So they made a program that fulfilled that hole in the market. People loved it. I've loved it.
I love
I've
Discord.
been a champion of Discord since before anyone knew about it. Which that's the second time I've been a hipster on this show so far. I've always really liked Discord. I've had friends who worked there. Even when it was like a very, very small company, they got a lot of investment VC capital because they had this crazy user base growth. But like Uber, like I don't know, all these companies, they have a product, they have a lot of users, they're not making money.
Yeah, how do they make money?
I mean, they have Nitro. They tried to open the game store. They've tried to just sell merch or like partnered servers. But like Discord is just losing money because they don't have a way for consistent income. Because not everyone's gonna pay for a free service. That's like Nitro is like cool, I guess, but it's not really doing anything monumental. So Discord attempted to do the Discord game store. Everyone wants to have a game store. GOG, Epic, Steam,
Yeah.
what have you, itch.io. It didn't work out. They announced last week they were closing it, and with closing the game store, which was pretty short-lived, all things considered, they're laying people off having to do with the game store, and they're trying to figure out how they can make money, which seems like the bane of existence for companies in this modern era. We're like, hey, we have users, but we don't have a business model or way to make profit. So like, we have money, we have users. I don't know how to make money off of them. It's interesting. It's an interesting side effect that we've seen so much in the last 5-10 years.
I mean, it's a Twitter problem, right? Like they just don't know how to sustain a product that most people use or a lot of people use. But outside of like the company itself, which is a shame, like our hearts go out to people who've been laid off. But outside of that, like what happens to people whose entire businesses are centered and function on something like Discord when if they are unable to figure out a way to make it work, they inevitably shut down? What happens to
Discord's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Discord's not going to go anywhere.
So it would never shut down.
I don't think so. If Discord was going to close doors because they couldn't be profitable, someone else would just become the new Discord, and it would transition over there because there is an insatiable market hole for this type of communication and service right now.
But think of how much of a crippling blow that would be to hashtag quote unquote content creators, because a lot of them have entire communities. Like we have our own, like the Cyber Garbage community lives on Discord. But say Discord shuts down tomorrow and then Discord 2 opens up, how would we get people to go over there? Other than like, hey, check our Twitter. Hey, we're going to post a link to Discord 2 and Discord 1. But once Discord 1 shuts down, like how are people who are not active on Discord 1 going to find out about Discord 2? So like you just lose a huge section of your community like that, and it's out of your control completely.
I think that there'd be like more lead up to that. It wouldn't happen instantaneously. I think it's an interesting thought experiment. I think that there'd be a good way to get the word out or like try and salvage.
You would hope so, but like it's something that even content creators on Patreon are even kind of worried about, because Patreon's starting to realize like, hey, we got a lot of people using our service and we're not making nearly as much money as we should. And hey, all the people on our staff who are deciding that they want to make a union, what if we maybe encourage them not to start a union? What if we took an active stance against unions? So like Patreon's starting to paint themselves as more and more of a bad guy. So like it's very curious to see businesses who rely on third parties kind of powerless on those third parties, like no matter what they do, because at the end of the day, they are businesses in of themselves. So when other parties are dependent on these other platforms, like it's kind of scary. It's a weird parasitic relationship.
It is. And I mean, we're definitely part of that. We owe everything we can do to kind of like Discord and Patreon and Twitch, things that we don't really pay for. I mean, Discord is free. Twitch is free. Patreon takes a small percentage of our money. So like, hey, that's it.
Yeah. So very curious to see how this all unfolds. The thing that, like, if I could get a flash forward glimpse into the future outside of some obvious choices, one of the things that I would want to see is what this space looks like. The era of the quote-unquote content creator.
Fuck, that's kind of us.
Yeah, like, I just want to see what people like us do. Like, what it looks like to make things online.
What are like the people who are like doing this at mid-tier levels like we're doing in 10 years?
I wouldn't even say mid-tier.
I mean, we're not a mid-tier. I would say that we are.
We're high, low end.
Yes, we're at the bottom of mid or the top of low.
Yeah.
One day I dream to just be a mid-tier streamer, Nick.
There you go. Yeah, we all have dreams. Maybe one day you two can be middle of the road. But it is interesting to see something like this, because nothing like this has really existed until now. So it's an interesting new field to keep an eye on. Even if you have zero interest in it, like you can't help but admit like this is something that is a cultural movement. It is something that is of this era, and it's going to be something that people look back on. It's going to be in history books, like it will be.
Someone will write our name in history books.
There you go.
Well, that was very thought provoking, Nick. Almost too much for my little peon brain. Thank you, everyone who supports us on Patreon. Like we were just talking about, because you're able to see this. Hopefully, let us know below if you like what we just did. I don't know, too long, too short. Probably not too short. I feel like that was a good medium amount of time. But just to take 3-5 extra stories that we didn't get through during the show, and then talk about them here to try and give you guys a little bit of something extra for those of you who want it.
I'm curious to see. Right now, my plan. I have YouTube open on that computer. So I'm just going to transfer the file right now. So I'm curious to see what the turnaround is on something like that. Hopefully it's not a long upload, because that would really suck.
It shouldn't be. I think that the turnaround could be pretty quick.
I have a smaller bit rate going, so I think it'll be good.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate you more than we can say. We're really ramping up.
We will see you on the next Cyber Garbage Weekly Scoop.
Which we haven't announced the date of yet, because we don't know. It'll be next week.
Yeah, it's going to be soon. So
bye.
We'll see you soon.
Oh, you got to turn off the thing and then upload it. So I got to hit the button, hit the stream, stop the recording.